Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and in the virtual studio today is a special guest. that is no longer MIA, Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, how are you, sir?
Dude, I've just been getting my fucking ass handed to me.
Yeah.
So, had a project that went really fucking sideways, and I paid a lot of money to finish that project. And fuck, dude, I was hands-on tools for Saturday and Sunday this past week. The guys worked 18 hours yesterday just to get it done because today was a cutoff. So they got it done though, man. I got to fucking tilt my hat to my crew, dude. These guys they went to war for us, and the odds were stacked against them. There was a lot of adversity, and they powered through. They kept saying one team, one goal, and they committed to that and they executed, and I'm fucking super proud of them. So
now you had literally everybody, right?
I had 10 guys in that fucking stairwell. Yeah.
Everybody but Beckett was on that job.
Everybody but Becca. I even thought about giving her a hard hat and dragging her out there. So
yeah, that's I've had similar experiences in the past, and I know you got to learn this as well. Is the adversity is the true test of a team and culture, because when things are easy and things are going right, it's easy to win and it's easy to be happy and it's easy to have a good culture. But when there's adversity and something goes wrong and people step up, that really shows the true test of strength of the team and of the culture and of people, right? And because nobody wants to be working till 1 a.m, right? When they started at 7, nobody wants to really do that. But it's so much easier when you have people that you enjoy working with.
Yeah,
and you have clear expectations of what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I think it strengthened the bond between a lot of those guys too. Guys that there's nothing like suffering to build some fucking, build some bonds. And we had a little bit of a problem with one of the project managers, and it had worn the guys down quite a bit, and they were pretty beaten up. And so I brought them all donuts, and I'm like, hey, look, I understand that the donuts aren't going to fucking fix anything. But you guys, at the end of the day, you guys have to change your mindset about what you're doing in here. Does it suck? Yeah. Are you beat up? Yeah. Are you sore? Yeah. Those things are going to happen. But you can either come in here every day and wish you were somewhere else and just be miserable for the fucking 10, 12, 18 hours that you're in here, or you can find humor in the chaos. And dude, these guys are on day fucking 12 or whatever, working an 18-hour shift. Dude, everybody's fucking talking shit, laughing, joking, like it wasn't a miserable situation. Dude, it reminded me of the pipeline days when Matt and I used to do that shit, and it was just cowboy up, motherfucker, like iron cowboy type stuff. And I really enjoyed getting out in the field and doing that with those guys. And, the camaraderie is definitely there, and these guys all care about each other, and it matters, who wants to go to work and be fucking miserable? Of course there was a couple guys that had they weren't doing as well as the rest of them, but they were doing the best that they could.
Well, we've talked about operational capacity, right? Like you're not going to show up with a full tank every day, especially under those circumstances. The other part I think was cool is because I saw some of the posts, and obviously you and I communicate that, that you were also out there, probably getting in their way more than anything, but you were there.
Yeah, dude, more than anything, I was just hauling steel up and down the fucking stairwell. So.
You make a good pack mule. I have to admit.
Yeah, right. That was the shitty part, dude, is that we had to haul all of that steel in by hand. Like, I was like, man, we're gonna make you boys strong.
Yeah, Conan the Barbarian style, just work, just grunt work.
Yeah.
No, it's good, and I think, honestly, I've witnessed it myself. I've been a part of the receiving end on the team when things get hard and the leader doesn't show up, and then the expectation for the team is to just continue without.
Mhm.
And leadership, true leadership, is you are out front when it means the most. And it means the most when it's the fucking hardest.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that you have to be there until 1 a.m. But what I'm saying is you have to be there,
Yeah.
and you have to be out front, and you have to be willing to just not neglect your duties, not neglect your roles, but allow the team to believe that you understand what they're experiencing and the value that they have. And when you put yourself in their shoes and look at things through their perspective and their lens, it creates that equity and that camaraderie and that value. So it's really good for leadership because, the reality is managers are going to steer away from difficulty, and show up when things are easy and when things are going well. So good on you for being out there the times that you were and could be.
Yeah. I spent pretty much a week in the field, which really set me behind in the office. Like there's a lot of, thank God for Becca, because I would have been fucking upside down. But the I was at NNCC, which is the Northern Nevada Correctional Center. We've had this ongoing project out there. It's just been a fucking another nightmare project, just dealing with the state. And I literally putting up railing around a fucking shit digester, a poop digester. And we had to put like these sump ladders in there and all this shit. I got 12 employees. All of them are at State Street. So guess who's crawling down in that pile of shit to go install this fucking railing? I was just like, no. And the worst part is none of them are going to see me down here because they're all out working. So like,
right,
I'm out in the field, but I'm, it's one of those situations where it's just got to get done, but you're not building any equity off of it, but yeah, I was just like, what the fuck?
let's talk about that real quick, because I think that's another good point, right? Is leaders get wrapped up in glory and they want to be seen, right? Like it's easy. Again, managers want to be recognized. They want the team to see them doing shit like that. And the reality is, if that's the only time you're going to do it, you're not a leader.
Right.
You're a glory seeker.
Yeah.
Right. You just want that. You want them to see you doing the right thing at the right time when it's convenient. And convenient. It's never the right time when it's convenient. So, yeah, those are interesting behaviors, and they're testing. They're very testing. And in small business, as you know, you wear multiple hats, and sometimes you got to take all of those out and put the hard hat back on, and just fucking get dirty and get after it.
Dirty does not describe it. I had fucking poop in my beard, and like I could not get the fucking smell off of me. Like I stripped down naked in the garage, went straight to the shower, and I just like, dude, it was not fun. And it like makes it worse that they're prisoners, So it's like, it's just the thought of it's their shit. I'm like, God, it's so much worse.
It's criminal. It's just criminal.
It's criminal.
Well, thank God you have a full luscious beard to hold on to those airborne molecules.
Oh, dude. And then they had the fucking prisoners flush all sorts of shit down the toilet. There was a whole bed sheet came through there. Don't know how they got that thing down the fucking toilet, but they did.
Carefully.
Yeah. So it's just, I'm like, what are you guys doing in there?
No one knows.
No one knows.
No one wants to know. No, it's from a leadership side, again, those are hard lessons that I think it's important for people to remember and to know. From a business perspective, though, and this is the conversation that I want to get into, is recognizing when you need to reshape the lane of your business and know what that is. Ultimately, what I'm saying is, like, when you get out of your lane, and your phrase before we started recording was when you start chasing shiny shit. And I think every entrepreneur is guilty of chasing shiny shit because we're problem solvers. We see a problem, we want to create a solution, and we want to implement it, and we're like, yes, we can do this. The effects and the impact that it has when you continue to stray out of your lane. So I'm interested, just to kind of spark this conversation off from a business perspective, like takeaways from what does Mr. Newton now think about getting out of his lane? That's what I really want to know.
Dude, I ain't even touching the fucking turn signal. I'm fucking looking straight ahead. Fucking
10 and 2.
hands at 2 and 2. Yeah. But yeah, this is the second project that's gone sideways on us, large scale, and it's what it was. And because I remember I got that phrase "chasing shiny shit" from Jeremy. Because the first one was that tilt up that we did with K7, and dude, they knew that our number was low, and we'd never done one of those that size of a tilt up before, and they knew we were low, and they, you know, there's a predatory contractor. This one that we just got done with, dude, we first bid on this thing 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. I can't remember now, but it changed so many times. And it was just trying to, and we were kind of in our breakout phase. Like we had just become contractors and like we were trying to go after everything we could. We didn't know what the fuck we were doing. And we signed up for it, and fuck, dude. The lesson that I learned off of this is I will never touch apartment complexes again. Fuck this shit, dude. These investors come in, they bend the fucking GC over the wheelbarrow, show them the 50 states, and guess who's right in fucking toe with that? All the fucking subs. And I feel bad for the GC, dude, because they're going to be out a lot of fucking money on this. And dude, I'm out a lot of money. You know, like I paid about $175,000 to finish this project. That's not lost profits.
Right.
That's what we paid to finish this project.
Yeah. If you multiply that by 3, that's what you lost in revenue.
Right. So yeah, dude, I mean, it took us to the fucking cleaners, man. And you know, these larger scale projects, you really got to know what you're getting yourself into. Like we still do tilt ups because now we know what we're doing, but you know, so the silver lining to getting out of your lane is that, yeah, you do learn a really hard, expensive lesson, but on the other side of that lesson is wisdom. And now we know what it takes to actually do that line of work, you know? And I think when you step into new markets, it's going to cost you money. Just, you're going to have to accept that. You're going to fucking miss shit. You're not going to know how to do it. Your systems aren't there. Your operations aren't there. You don't have, you know, high production, you know, especially if it's something high production. Like the reason why those big outfits make good money on those things is because they make up all the, you know, it's only a 10% profit margin, but they're probably making 20% because they're making that up through efficiency. They've done this so many times that they know how to make it more efficient, put the right people in the right places. And, you know, they've got people that they've had for 20 years. So when you're competing against something like that, you have to understand that you're going to take it in the fucking ass on the first one. I don't care how well thought out you think you have your fucking numbers. It's going to eat your lunch. And the shitty part is I was able to afford that $175,000 loss because we're crushing it so hard in other markets. And we're doing, you know, the fucking TI stuff we're doing, all the custom home shit. We're crushing it in those markets. And now I you know, it's all for what? To build this fucking stairwell for this fucking investor, you know? So
to widen the lane, obviously. I mean, you paid to try to widen the lane. A couple of things that I think are really important that you brought up is, one is when you do get out of your lane, it is going to cost you money. But 2 is being wise enough and not have your ego in the way to be able to look at it and go, well, I know next time I can do better. And you keep chasing work that doesn't complement your business. That, and you said systems and operations and people, which is the 3 fucking things that you have to have, right? If you had a dedicated team, equipped, skilled, and capable, that's a different ball game. The interesting thing about doing the type of work that you do, which is obviously ornamental, repair, structural, is there's so much versatility. And when you have versatility, it's not that you lack specificity, but the team, you have to have a specific team built for those types of things. And your team is very, very versatile, and they're very equipped to do many things. They're not equipped to be on one project doing the same thing for 3 months.
Yep. And the thing is, though, I do have guys now that are like that.
Mhm.
They are production guys. They've all come from a different welding company around here. You know, they all kind of just jump ship on that guy. So I got 3 guys that they all work together, and like those are high production guys, but they're, you know, that's basically like my structural crew. Those are the guys that, you know, and they're down, dude. They want high production work, you know. And like personally for me, I always loved high production. You know, I was a pipeliner. I got paid by the joint, systematize everything, you know. And so like I will pursue the tilt up stuff, but I will stay away from fucking apartments. You know, like the investors just fuck everybody over. And I don't see how people make money doing those things, but I also don't care to learn. You know, if it's going to be that much of a cutthroat industry, you guys go fuck yourselves. I ain't getting involved.
Well, you know, something that I think a lot of owners miss is the amount of time that is involved from start to finish in a project like that versus maybe a tilt up or versus custom home structural versus small structural. And when I say small, I mean commercial, not industrial. The time is so much more not flexible, but it's smaller. The window's smaller, right? Like when you look at that large apartment complex, from day one that the job started until last night, like how much time was spread. So I think that's something that people don't consider. And then you have to look at how much of that job am I going to have to carry financially between, you know, draws or progress payments or whatever that is. You can, there are companies that cannot afford to take that job on.
I mean, luckily we're as established as we are in other markets, you know, and so we were able to supplement, but I mean, do you know how easy it is for a fucking company to go tits up on a project like that? Like I had to take out $150,000 loan just to keep the cash flow moving. Dude, my payroll last week was $32,000 for 1 week.
1 week.
Yeah. That's a lot of fucking overtime. So it's one of those things you got to be cognizant of all this shit. You got to pay attention to it. And if you're gonna widen your lane, make sure you look in your fucking mirrors. Like you got to make sure you do your homework, talk to the right people. And I'll tell you right now, on that first tilt up that we did, I just fucking winged a number together. I didn't really. I talked to Derek from Hot Shot, and that was about it, you know. And because he has a lot of success with that kind of shit. And I talked to him a little bit, but not enough to really paint a picture of what I was doing, you know?
Yeah. When we shoot from the hip on a job, you never win.
No,
you never win because you're just all of the inexperience. And like you said, you don't have the information that you need to put something together or approach it appropriately. And that costs you money. And when you are only focused on widening your lane as opposed to filling your lane, it's easy to be like, oh yeah, that's comparative to structural and what we do. Or, oh yeah, we have rigs, we can do on-site work. And that's why you have to step back and go, well, what is our business? And what I mean by, like, instead of having, for the sake of widening the lane analogy, like I don't want 6 lanes with 1 car in each. Like I want 3 lanes that's full of traffic. Like that's how people need to consider building their business. Is they need to stack vehicles, they need to stack people, they need to stack systems and operations and finances and revenue in the lanes that they have before they start trying to invest in widening that road. Because when you got 1 car on each lane, it's not efficient. It's not profitable.
Right. I mean, because that's how we started. It was, you know, we started this business. It was like anything and everything, you know, and now there's just shit we don't fuck with, you know, like the off-road industry. Like there ain't no fucking money in that, you know, unless you're fucking Phil Icardi, you know, but he's doing shit for race teams, you know, not building up some dude's little fucking shitbox Cherokee, you know.
Yeah, that has a $100,000 dream and a $5,000 budget.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
but
uh,
something you said there too that I want to hit on is you said when you started, right? You guys were everything to everybody. And I think that's common practice of a startup. I don't necessarily try to talk people out of that in the beginning, but
mhm,
within the first 6 to 12 months, you should have a really good fucking idea of what you should be saying no to
mhm.
and what you need to be pouring your efforts into.
Yeah, and we've learned what to say no to, and
Mhm.
it's a tough pill to swallow because we want to help everybody. Like this isn't even just about building the business and building the teams and building
Mhm.
bank accounts. Like we care about taking care of the community, and there's dude. I mean, if it's fucking under $10,000, I got a hard time saying yes to it.
Mhm.
The resource the resources that get allocated to doing a small ADA grab rail for some elderly woman, it's let's say it's fucking $2,500 by the time it's all said and done. If she wants grab rails at certain locations
Mhm.
throughout her house. I just took one of my master fabricators off of high production, high end ornamental to go do that. And it's like, but also, how do you say no to her?
Mhm.
That's the fucking hard part. It's like, if she clearly needs this for access
Mhm.
into her home, if we don't do it, who will?
Yeah.
And I end up with a bleeding heart over that one, and we end up
Yeah.
doing them anyway, but I don't want to do them.
Right. Well, here's the important part of that is um you need to be able to afford to take care of people.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not pumping out 3 fucking ADA handrails a day,
Mm-hmm.
right? What you are doing is choosing the jobs that you want to say yes to. But if you have the ability, if you can afford yourself the opportunity to say yes to that, that's a different story. It needs to be on purpose, right? It needs to be intentional. You have to go into it and going, okay, we're not going to, it's less than 10,000 and we're not going to make 30%.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you do that on purpose, intentionally, and not all the fucking time, that's completely different. But if you are jumping around outside of your lane and chasing these odd random jobs all the fucking time, there is no consistency. There is no cash flow. There is no profit. But if you're cranking shit out and you get those opportunities, I think it's so important for businesses to be able to afford to help people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't disagree with doing that. I think people just need to do it on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And it takes wisdom on your end to know that you have that ability to do that, and wisdom comes from you fucking a lot of shit up, that's where that comes from. And I think that's another good point to bring up too, like going to the wisdom side of things. When you get into these projects and they go sideways and you got a market that you weren't used to, you need to understand the impact that has on your team. You are going to stress them the fuck out. You're gonna put them in a bad position, and you have to make sure that your culture and your teams are strong enough to weather those storms. And I think I'm grateful for these horrible fucking projects that we've dealt with, because it's given us an ability to create a much better unified team through those suffering experiences. And it showed with this last project. Like, guys they're on fucking day 12. They're on an 18-hour shift and they're in there fucking talking shit, fucking throwing shit around, and still having fun while they're in this chaotic fucking moment. And
While they're suffering.
Yeah. And it's like, that just goes to show me how awesome this team is.
Wisdom only comes from accountability, though. John Maxwell says experience is not the best teacher. Evaluated experience is. If you're constantly making the same stupid decision over in different circumstances and getting the same result, you're not learning. There's no wisdom there. That's just ego. So you have to be accountable to obtain wisdom. And that comes in evaluation of not only the result, but of the process. And looking at that, and the ego comes in and go, okay, well, we're going to do the next one better. That's your ego trying to find a win in your loss. The accountability, the wisdom comes in going, okay, is this something that we want, not can, want to go after? Is this something that we want to chase? Is this align with our culture? Right. And if you have a vision and you have a mission in the company and your team is bought in, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, we're going to go conquer this new land over here. They have the right to go, hold on, help me understand why we're changing course entirely to now chase this new vision. So that accountability has to come into play with those extreme losses and evaluation to go, okay, is this something that we want to do again? If so, as a collective, let's collaborate and have a conversation about moving forward on this instead of forcing the team to just do it because this is what the owner said.
Yeah. I think it's if you're a good leader, it's not a hard thing to do. But consulting with your team, I know a lot of guys that won't drop to that fucking. They won't bow a knee to that. Well, it's my fucking business. I'm gonna fucking do what I want, and you're gonna fucking do what I tell you. All right, let me know how that works out, motherfucker. Because I can tell you right now.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
They'll come work for me instead of you.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story of to emphasize exactly how that works. We, being a new company, we were trying to increase. We were trying to widen our lane. We had gotten into light and mid-sized commercial. We had stepped into refrigeration, and there were some obstacles there just because there's so much variety in things that happen when you go from working on a residential furnace in someone's house to a 60-ton rooftop. There's quite a difference. There's a vast variety of controls and understandings. And then my partner at the time, who I had the HVAC business with, made the decision that we were going to start servicing campers. And it was primarily because he had a camper down at this local, this popular lake. And he had led me to believe that it would get us into the marina, it would get us into the restaurant, and that these people also had homes and so on and so forth. So I sold the team on it. And because they were so awesome, they were like, yep. Until the service calls started coming in. Now, these are little bitty units on top of a camper. They're fucking throwaway units. There's like 6 parts you can change on them. Otherwise, they're junk and you just put a new one in.
Right.
And I started getting some pushback from my team because guess what? When are the campers being used? Only on the weekends. So our weekend on calls started to increase because everybody was getting dispatched down to this one particular spot. And for me, I was like, nope, this is what we're going to do. We've actually started working in the restaurant. We're taking care of that now. And I just kept I wasn't even listening. I'm like, no, this is what we're doing. And we're going down there. Until 4th of July, I got dispatched to go down to the campground.
Once it's on your plate.
It was on my plate. I drove an hour and 15 minutes to get down there. It was blistering ass hot. I'm up on top of this camper and I hear something and I look and here comes my partner drunk as shit on a golf cart with his wife and another friend, all fucking plastered. And immediately I was like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Right.
Like what I saw in that golf cart, that was the reason we were down there. We were down there because he wanted to make friends. It didn't benefit us. It didn't benefit the company. So it was man over mission. He had now made himself more important than the purpose. So I got it fixed. Monday, I called a meeting and I'm like, we're not working on campers anymore. And I would tell you, I made an executive decision without consulting with my partner, and he was fucking irate. But I just told my team because they had been telling me, they're like, we don't need to be down here. Like our average tickets, there's no money to be made. Like our tickets are not covering our costs. And we don't stock those. We can't even fucking sell them one. We would literally go to the same place that they would go to buy it over the counter and come back and put it in.
Yeah. Mark it up.
Yeah, we would mark it up and then charge them labor. And they're going to be like, why am I paying $3,000 for a $400 unit? It's like, well, this is why. Yeah. So I learned that lesson very well, trying to push my team into something instead of leading them into it. Good on them. They bought into it. They communicated their concerns with me, And by the way, these guys didn't bitch about working on very much, right?
Mhm.
They didn't push back very often.
Right.
When they did, I chose to not listen until
Mhm.
I was forced to go out
Till
there.
you got bit in the
Until
ass.
I got, and I was like, no, this is fucking stupid. I don't want to be here. Nobody needs to be here. So I know how that works when you continue to push that. Now, luckily, again, we in that moment, I made a decision. My partner was not happy, and I just told him, I'm like, what? I was like, you're down there, you fucking work on them.
Yeah.
And
If
I
you're
told my
sober
team,
enough.
yeah, if you're sober enough, and I told my team, I said, nobody will be dispatched down there. If he calls you personally, I was like, you call me and I'll fucking handle it. And that was, is that good for partnership? No. I lacked a lot of maturity back then on how to handle things like that. But at the end of the day, we were trying to do something for the wrong reason, and it was negatively impacting the team. We were widening our lane for people, not purpose. Somebody wanted to feel important.
Yep.
And so it affected the leadership. It affected my leadership. It affected the operations of the team. And when we made the decision, it was really interesting because the team realized that I actually had their back. Right. I actually cared. And not that they didn't bitch all the time. I put them poor bastards in some very terrible situations. And they just fucking got it done. But this time, unanimously, they were like, we don't want to do this. Like, this doesn't make sense for us. So that's my experience in forcing your team into doing something without buy-in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, I've even gotten to the point now where if I'm bidding on something, especially if it's a larger scale project, I'll bring my superintendent in, my field foreman, be like, hey, like, especially if it's a tilt up, like, hey, how many joists do you think you can get up a day? How many girders? How much ledger? And I base my numbers off of what they think they can do. Buy in on their end. If we land the job, then be like, hey, dude, you said you're going to get this many a day. And, these guys are pretty competitive. They're like, yeah, we're going to double that number. So, whatever the fuck it takes, and I think a lot of us, when we run these businesses, we want to be the end all be all when it comes to the decision making. But yeah, is it your company? Sure. Are you going to run the whole, or like, are you going to go do all the work yourself? Like, it's just as much. They have just as much. If you're a good leader, they have just as much pride in this business as you do. And you have to be cognizant of that. And you need to take that into effect. And I think a lot of people don't. They're like, well, I'm the boss. We're going to do what I say. Okay. But what if you just make shitty decisions? Like, these people could probably help you from doing stupid shit. Like, it takes a village, dude. You got to listen, and I'm the same, it's the same way. I don't really have people bitching, but when they do speak, I do listen. And, we've made operational adjustments because of that. And because I give a fuck, dude. I want people to be happy to be here. I've already gone through one full-fledged mutiny. I don't need any, I don't ever want to go through that again. That fucking sucked, and I care about these people, dude. Like, I genuinely give a shit about their well-being and their lives. And, I know that this isn't their life, that this is just a means to supply their life. And, that if we're doing a bunch of shit nobody wants to be doing, we need to take a long, hard look at what our operation is.
Well, it goes back to knowing or being able to answer this question. What is it that you are known for? And what is it that you want to be known for? And when you have a business, you have to be able to identify that. Because if you're everything to everyone, you're no one. And being able to clearly identify this is what we're known for, and identify this is what we want to be known for. Every decision that you make has to support that answer. Every decision that the team makes has to support that answer. And that's why purpose over people is important. They have to know that this is the type of work we do. And this is something that I know I suffered from, because most of us that own businesses have the understanding and capacity to do whatever it takes to get the job done, and will do any job it takes to get there. Your team did not sign up for that.
Right.
When you posted a job opening and you interviewed that individual, you sold them a vision. You sold them an idea that, hey, this is the type of work that we do. This is where we are going. This is the role that you play. And this is our plan to get there. And then when they come on board and then they start doing things that are so far outside of that idea that you sold them, they become confused, they become frustrated, and they look at it and go, this is not what I signed up for. And business owners can get so wrapped up in their own selfishness and their own ego and fall in love with their own ideas that they just expect people to follow them without question. And the reality is, people actually want to do something that they enjoy. Doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. Doesn't mean it's simple, and doesn't mean that they're not going to have bad days. But if I come to work for you and I want to be a fabricator and that's my plan, I expect to spend 80% of my time in and around that role. If I come in as a fabricator and you're like, hey, I need you to start running service calls, and you put me in a rig and I start running service calls, that's not what I signed up for. So we have to be careful as owners as to not impress our ego onto other people's performance. Just because you would do whatever it takes, it's your fucking business. You fucking should do whatever it takes. But so we have to be careful on impressing that onto other people that agreed to come onto this and serve a role. Now, the dichotomy of that is people don't get to only stay in their seat and not do anything, like an operator that won't touch a shovel, right? It's like 80% of the time, 20% of the time, you are going to fall into this whatever it takes category and be in the field or run this call or do this. But 80% of the time, I'm going to have you in and around that role that we agreed on. So that's my point I want to make on that. Is like, you just have to be careful that everybody's not going to just do whatever it takes because that's what you would do.
Yeah. And I mean, dude, we've done that, this most recent project was a good testament to that. Like, all of my ornamental guys were out in the field. They were all out there fucking slinging steel. Granted, there was a shitload of railing that had to be put in, but it's not their normal high end, custom ornamental shit
or their normal environment.
Yeah. And it was hot in there. It was fucking, they had heaters on because they were, and then we're up at the 6th floor and you're just getting cooked out in there. And it's like, well, fucking what it takes, dude, and it's one team, one goal. And it's like, once we get through this, you'll be able to go back to your cushy fucking 410 schedule and building all the nice stuff for Lake Tahoe, but that's not what I need from you right now. Like, this business will cease to exist if you don't get out there and fucking help us. So, and I think having clear expectations with your team that, because it did kind of bite us in the ass a little bit this time around, because the guys weren't prepared for it. Like, well, I'm an ornamental guy. Like, why am I going to that project? And it's like, because it's whatever it fucking takes, dude. That's why. And so I think I wish I would have been a little more vocal, especially during the onboarding process, because there's guys that I hired specifically for ornamental. And it's like, okay, well, let's put this out in front, like, hey, there's times where I'm gonna have to call on you to do shit you don't want to do. And you're just gonna have to grit your fucking teeth and get it done. Because, like, dude, if you take off early, or if the rest of the team is pulling weight and you just throw your hands up and say, fuck this, I'm done, that work doesn't just go away. That work gets absorbed by the rest of your teammates. Somebody else is picking up that fucking work for you. And I think that having an understanding that if it's all hands on deck, it's all hands on deck, dude. Yeah, the boss made a bad decision. I got us into a bad project. I need you guys' help to dig it out.
Yeah.
And when you have guys that are willing, that's fucking huge,
Yeah. One of the things my guys used to do that I was just ultimately impressed with, my service guys specifically, just is situational to the service guys. Not that they were better. It was situational to the service guys. When it would get to the end of the day and these guys would start knocking out their last call, they would actually communicate with the other techs. They would communicate with each other. So I might get a call from you and you say, hey, Josh, I just finished my last call. I looked at the schedule. I see you have one more. Do you want me to pick that up? So the techs would check in with each other before they would dispatch home. And what was amazing is that was not something that I told them to do.
Yeah.
That was not a rule.
No, but they have camaraderie, like they're looking out for each other.
Yeah. Now, did I have conversations in the past with somebody that maybe got done at 1 or 2 o'clock and left, and then the rest of their team was working until 5 or 6? Yes, because you decided to not be a team player. You just said, well, my schedule's empty, therefore I get to go home. No, that's individualistic. That's not being a part of a team. You made the decision to not help nor support anyone else. So yes, I had those conversations. The reason I had those conversations is because I remember coming up paying my dues, that I was the poor son of a bitch that was out late every fucking night because I was the new guy.
Right.
And it's one thing to pay your dues. I think you should have to pay your dues. It sucks when you feel like you're all by yourself, though.
Yeah.
It sucks when you feel like no one, they're just using you so they can go on with their life and you're just going to handle it. So, but that's cultural, right? Like that's not a protocol. That's not a policy. That's cultural.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants to be an island, you know, like if you're trying to be a team and you leave the fucking greenhorn to just eat shit all day. Like I, you know, if I was in that position, I'd be like, do I even want to be a part of this team? You know?
And that's different than controlled failure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just you guys being dicks.
Yeah.
You know,
you know, and there's something Greg and I talk about a lot with the new guys, because I spent a week up in Massachusetts with the Giroux team, did tons of training, got to spend time with those guys, and it was a fucking blast. It was a blast. We did RVT training the very first day. It's a service-based company, electrical company. And we did role-playing. We did technician versus client, and we created. Yeah, it was. People got smacked. It's hard to talk when you got a gag ball in, but
yeah, I'm sure it was a gag ball.
I'm obviously instructing in my GIMP suit, but whatever. I'm getting some muscle on. I didn't look terrible. No, but one of the things that him and I talk about is it's common practice, and I'm not opposed to this. That's my disclaimer. I'm not opposed to this. It's common practice to beat the fuck out of people coming into the trades. It's common practice to beat them down. What makes a culture and a team is when you build them back up. When you beat them down, but you also give them support. You kick the shit out of them, but you're like, here, stop the bleeding.
Right.
So when you just beat people down and they leave, you erode their confidence. You destroy their self-respect as a craftsman in that trade.
Right.
And a good leader can recognize that and realize, okay, I have to rebuild this individual and I have to rebuild some confidence. But anyway, that's one of the observations that him and I talk about is in a company and being cultural. And to connect that with what we're doing is back to my point earlier. When you just tell your team to do something and expect them to do it, and they don't have clear expectations, like you said, there's not a clear vision or direction, and you're forcing them to be so far outside of their role, that also erodes their confidence, and it erodes the excitement, and it spends a lot of leadership equity. Right? We talk a lot about leadership equity. You spend a lot of equity. You spent a lot of equity, regardless of how great that team worked. You knew that you were going to spend a lot of leadership equity trying to get this fucking lane closed in your business and get this done.
Dude, the crazy part is that I think I actually gained some throughout this whole process, you know, and I spend a lot in the beginning. Yeah,
yes.
I did. But I also think I earned a lot, dude. And even the project management at that project, they fucking earned quite a, you know, they were buying our guys dinner every night because our guys are in there till, you know, fucking 1 o'clock in the morning, or, you know, they're pulling 12-hour shifts, and, you know, we're in there on Saturdays and Sundays, and the fucking general was super grateful for that. And so, you know, they, you know, doing little shit like that goes a long fucking way with these guys, dude, because it's not about the fucking donuts or the tacos. It's you showing appreciation. They don't give a fuck about the tacos. Wow, I got a couple guys that they actually gave a shit about tacos, but
I care about tacos.
Dude, they bought 140 tacos, and our guys fucking demolished all of them.
Yeah, they did.
They fucking. I'm like, good God, you guys are gonna be useless after you get done eating this shit.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah, that's
yeah,
excellent.
I mean, dude, just that that little shit. Like, if you want them to be able to, when you fuck up because you went out of your lane,
Mhm.
you want to know that your team is going to be there to help you dig out.
Mhm.
And little shit like that, it fucking helps, dude. And like, it's a simple gesture, and if it keeps them motivated, for the next fucking couple days, like, yeah, so what? You spend a fucking couple $100 on tacos. Imagine how much it's going to fucking boost the productivity,
Mm.
And like, I never understood that. Why, like, there were bosses that I worked for that, never got a shit, they were just like, here's your paycheck, here's your paycheck, here's your paycheck, but like, my old boss, Zach, dude, anytime we went out, we were not allowed to pay for anything. He fucking bought all the drinks, he bought all the food, he took care of us like that, and like, you'd try and pay, and he's like, no, dude, this is a company thing. I'm like, okay. Yeah, you're making $250,000 at the year. You're like, I'll fucking pay my own way,
Yeah. No, that's good. You've got to take care of your team. People want to feel valued. They want to know that they're important and that they matter and that the effort that they're putting forth matters. It's good leadership, right? It's good leadership. So, well, dude, today's the day before Thanksgiving. You've got the new pad. You and Kat, you guys are hosting.
Yes, we're hosting. Yeah. So, I mean, I've done it a couple years, before I got divorced. I did it a couple times. But yeah, gonna deep fry up turkey. Kat's got some friends coming in from San Francisco, and grandma's in town from Florida. So
wow,
listen to her yammer on in her southern drawl.
Did she fly in?
Yeah, my sister went and got her. My sister flew out there and helped her. She's on oxygen and shit. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but she fucking talks at like 3. She never stops talking, and she talks at like 3/4 speed. And I'm like, just spit it the fuck out.
I have that in my family stump as well. So
stump. That's exactly what it is.
I have that as well. My last question is, how's my dog?
Oh shit, dude, that fucking dog. She's been testing us a lot lately, so we've been working her. It's common with those Cane Corsos, and so I've been trying to work her a little more, trying to get her to quit rushing people here at the shop because she is a scary looking dog, and it's like, I don't want her getting shot or something,
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, she's healthy as an ox, fucking fun loving, doing all the things.
I'm not sure when I'm going to make it back out there yet, but I can't wait to see her when I do.
Come out here just for the dog. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, she'll be so pumped.
Oh yeah.
My original plan, because I love the Veterans Day parade up at VC. Plus the old guys I always hang out with, they're always up there. Which they actually text me. They're like, that weekend they were up in VC. Obviously it didn't happen. Too much things going on. Lots of fucking shit on my end going on. Getting back into business. Not revealing too much, but Greg and I are in the process of making some pretty heavy moves, getting back into business, ownership, playing that game. I'm excited. I'm super excited.
You didn't learn last time, huh?
The reality is the complete opposite. I learned so much last time, and these last 5 years, I feel like I've just been immersed in education from everybody that I've been fortunate enough to work with. And the coaching is not going away. I don't want anyone to think that we're stopping the podcast or stopping the coaching. We've restructured it, and out of that restructure, I've gained a lot of autonomy, and I want to put my energy somewhere. So Greg and I are in the process of starting and creating a new empire.
Yeah. Well, I might be flying you back out here too, though, because I want to do a refresher on the leadership training.
Yeah.
So that might be your opportunity to get out here for a little bit. So
yeah, I'm down. Yeah, as there's several things that we can do. Be happy to see the guys. I know most of the team, but even since I've left, you've got some newbies on there.
Yep.
And that's always exciting. A growing team.
Yeah, we're maintaining our diversity too, as far as like age is concerned. You know, we got some younger guys, some older guys, and you know, a bunch of us in the middle. So
Yeah.
it's good to have that. You know.
Yes, I agree. But dude, good to see you. Fuck,
You
man.
too, buddy. Yeah, it's been long enough.
God damn, I don't know when we jumped on here, and it feels like it's been a year.
Oh, dude, yeah. So much has happened, and we'll
Yeah.
be doing a specific episode on some of the changes that have been happening within Battleborn Welding as well. So
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
Yeah. I tell you one thing I'd like to do in the future too is I'd like to get the Beast on here, get Becca the Beast back on here. Every conversation I have with her is inspiring.
Right.
If just, man, you want to talk about someone that accepts growth and adversity and forcing herself out of her comfort zone. Like she fires me up every time I hang out with her.
Right.
And I got to, you know, Matt was in town for hunting season as always. So she flew in. Katie and I picked her up from the airport, and it's always a good time. So I always feel like she's got a lot of value to add, especially being a significant, like a key part of Battleborn Welding now, and the role that she has.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a conversation to be had in the future. I'd love to hear her perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a key player now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And is proud of it. I will tell you, she had all great things to say, and she's very proud of what she's doing there and the role that she plays, and fucking loves that team.
Oh, so, fuck yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We don't call her Giggle Tits for nothing. She's in there on the Monday morning meeting, fucking laughing at all the guys talking shit.
Getting after him. I know it. Yeah. She's running those Monday morning meetings now. So
yeah. She's our safety coordinator. So
yeah. And that, again, there's so much that I want to unpack in that, because I know it's been a great learning opportunity for you in delegation. And the value of that, like, finally for me, I'm like, finally, right? Like, like having that opportunity to delegate and what that looks like. So a lot to unpack in that conversation, I think. But anyway, my brother, it's good to see you.
Yeah, good seeing you too, buddy. And hopefully we can make this a little more frequent than once every 6 weeks. And I think I'm just your most frequent guest at this point.
Just about. Yeah, the last few months, I think you've been my most frequent guest. So, well, tell Kat hey for me.
All right, will do, buddy.
All right, you can find Nate on Instagram at NateNude87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com, and the YouTube channel, The Tradesman Experience. I hope you've had a happy Thanksgiving. It's tomorrow for us, but this will be Monday when it comes out. So thanks for spending this time with us. Get out there, get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.